Pain was the first thing Ethan felt, not sharp pain. Sharp pain ends quickly. This was heavy, suffocating, as if his body had been crushed and stitched back together. White lights floated above him. The ceiling felt impossibly far away. So, I survived. The realization didn't bring relief, only exhaustion.
Ethan, the doctor stood at his bedside, flipping through a tablet. His voice was calm, detached, like he was discussing weather, not a broken body. You have multiple fractures across your ribs, arms, and legs. It's good you landed on the roof of a bus. If you'd hit the ground directly, you'd be dead.
Ethan stared upward. Dead. The word didn't scare him as much as it probably should have. You barely survived, the doctor continued. You'll need surgery and long-term care. Call your parents as soon as possible. Hospital bills need to be settled. Parents. Ethan's lips parted, then closed again. He said nothing, only stared. Earlier that day, his bullies had cornered him on the school terrace. He still remembered the laughter, the hands shoving his back. The moment the ground vanished beneath his feet, suddenly, a voice springs him back. You should be grateful. At least you didn't die. Grateful? For falling? For breaking? For surviving just enough to feel everything? The doctor turned away, clearly annoyed. A nurse hesitated, then spoke softly. Doctor, he's an orphan. The doctor stopped. For a moment, his eyes flicked back to Ethan, not with sympathy, but mild annoyance. Poor bastard. And just like that, he left. Ethan closed his eyes. Poor bastard. He'd heard worse. He'd been called worse. Just as silence settled over the ward. Doctor! Doctor, help me! A man came running in, drenched in sweat, eyes wide and bloodshot. He grabbed the doctor by the collar with shaking hands. My whole body hurts. Everywhere. I was part of a medical trial. Now it feels like my bones are tearing apart. Please, do something! Before anyone could respond, the man bent forward violently, coughing, choking as if his lungs were rotting from the inside. Get him off me, the doctor snapped. 2 ward attendants rushed in and dragged the man back. Where did this bastard come from? The doctor barked. Give him a pain relief injection and a sedative shot. Get him out of my sight. The doctor stormed out, muttering under his breath. Goddamn drunkards. The attendants shoved the man onto the bed beside Ethan's and injected him with shots. In seconds, the man went still. Ethan frowned. He didn't like the idea of being next to a crazy person. Night fell. The ward grew quiet, unnaturally quiet. Ethan slipped in and out of slumber, but then feels something was off. It felt too near, too oppressive. His eyes snapped open. The man was standing beside his bed. His face was soaked in blood. His jaw hung at an unnatural angle. His eyes were empty, yet locked onto Ethan with terrifying focus. Ethan's heart stopped. The man lunged. Teeth snapped toward his throat. Ethan raised his arm on instinct. Pain exploded. Something bit into his hand. He screamed, grabbed a metal instrument from the bedside, and swung. Once, twice, the body collapsed. Ethan fell back, shaking. Why? He whispered, his vision blurred with tears. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I always the one being hurt? What have I done to anybody? The question echoed in his mind, but he was oblivious to the zombie virus coursing through his bloodstream, igniting a primal aggression within him. Without thinking, he seized the metal device from the bedside and began to strike. 1 hit, 2 hits, 5 hits. Each blow felt more frantic than the last. By the 10th strike, the man's skull had shattered, blood splattering across the sterile walls. Suddenly he froze. Wait, what have I done? I just killed someone. How is that possible? I've never even harmed an ant in my life. How could I take a life? Panic surged through him. No, I'm going to jail. Damn it, how can I even move? Wasn't I badly injured? Then, something moved inside him. A hunger, cold, deep. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. A nurse rushed in, drawn by the noise. Hello? She called out, squinting into the darkness. Is someone there? Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. No, he stammered, panic choking his throat. It's not me! It's not me! His words tumbled over each other, meaningless even to his own ears. Then the smell hit him, warm, thick, sweet, fresh flesh. His stomach twisted violently. What is this? His mind split. Eat it. No, that's wrong. That's a crime. Eat it. It's fresh. The nurse stepped closer and saw the body. The mangled, headless corpse. Her scream tore through the ward. The sound shattered the last fragile thread holding Ethan together. Something inside him snapped. He lunged. His teeth sank into her neck. Get away from me, she screamed, clawing at him, but he didn't stop. He bit harder. Her struggles weakened, then stopped. She collapsed, blood spilling across the floor. Ethan dropped with her. Hunger consumed him. He tore into her body, hands shaking, mind screaming, "Stop! This isn't me! Please, stop!" Suddenly, the door burst open. "Hey, what's happening in—" Another nurse, another voice. Ethan looked up and jumped. 5 minutes later, silence returned. Ethan blinked. The smell was everywhere. Blood coated his hands, his mouth. 2 bodies lay before him, broken, hollowed out. What? His breath came in short, uneven gasps. What happened? What did I do? His gaze fell to his hand. Clear bite marks. Did that man infect me? Am I a zombie? His chest tightened. Then why can I still think? He whispered. Aren't zombies supposed to be mindless monsters? His vision blurred. God. His voice cracked. What did I do to deserve this? You took my parents when I was little. I had no money. Classmates bullied me. Teachers ignored me. No one stood up for me. No one ever wanted to be my friend. Tears streamed down his face. And now, I die like this, without doing anything with my life.
A mechanical sound echoed in his mind. Ding! Zombie system activated. Condition met. You have killed the virus origin zombie. Host, please wait. Transferring zombie system. For a moment, nothing moved. The world seemed to freeze around him. Then, ding! Transfer complete. Initiating cognitive unlock.
A strange pressure gripped Ethan's mind, tight, restricting, like something invisible had been wrapped around his thoughts, holding them back, limiting them. Then it snapped. Cognitive lock removed.
A sudden clarity flooded in. Sharp, overwhelming, temporary consciousness granted.
Ethan inhaled sharply. His vision blurred, then stabilized, and right in front of him, a translucent screen appeared, floating, faintly glowing, real, unmistakable. Ethan stared at it, stunned. His heartbeat slowed. A system? He whispered. Disbelief flickered across his face, because he had seen this before. In novels, in manga. This can't be real. Ding! 3 minutes left before you lose your senses. His breath hitched. Wait, what? I lose my senses? How am I supposed to use the system then? Ding! You have accumulated 0.1 intelligence. Ding! You have accumulated 0.1 intelligence. Killing increases intelligence? Ethan whispered.
After killing humans, intelligence points are acquired.
At 20 intelligence, rational thought is restored. Higher intelligence unlocks special abilities. After reaching 20 intelligence, stat allocation becomes available. Objective, kill humans to evolve. Then, system went silent. Ethan looked down at the corpses. So it's real. His lips trembled. I really became a zombie. A bitter thought surfaced. If that's true, then why should they get to live normally? Ding! Losing senses in 5 seconds. Fuck. His vision blurred. Everything turned red. Then let's do this, he whispered hoarsely. If I'm already a monster, I'll survive as one.
His eyes burned crimson. Thoughts dissolved into hunger. The world disappeared. I'm currently in a hospital. There are many patients here, and they're all sleeping. Let's just kill them.
He ran to the door and entered the corridor. After walking forward for about 2 minutes, a strong smell hit his nose from a door on his right. He opened it. It was a patient ward with around 20 patients. He moved inside, walked up to the first bed, and looked at an old man sleeping peacefully.
Ethan opened his mouth and bit him, and suddenly everything went blank. Time passed. Ethan's eyes snapped open.
He sucked in a sharp breath.
Wait.
His voice came out rough.
What happened?
Fragments, blurred memories.
Frowning, he sat up slowly. Then, instinctively, he opened his system window. What he saw stunned him. Total points, 42.7. What? 42.7? How many people did I kill? And when? Another line appeared. Total humans killed, 425. 425? I killed 425 humans? Ethan's breath caught. His eyes widened as the number burned into his vision. When? A pause. His throat went dry. Last night? A chill ran down his spine. How is that even possible? His mind struggled to catch up, fragments of darkness, flashes of instinct, but nothing clear, no control, no memory, just emptiness. A quiet unease settled in his chest. Was that really me? He forced himself to focus. His gaze shifted down the system panel, unassigned points, 22.7, intelligence, 20, locked.
He froze for a second, then relief. So that's why I can think clearly now. Last night, I wasn't myself. His jaw tightened slightly. Without hesitation, he moved. 15 points into strength, 7.7 points into agility.
The moment he confirmed, a surge exploded through his body. His muscles tensed violently. Power rushed into his arms, his legs, his entire frame. His senses sharpened. His heartbeat stabilized, stronger, heavier.
Ethan clenched his fist slowly.
What? A faint, disbelieving laugh escaped him. This is just like a game. But there was no joy in it, only realization.
And now that my intelligence has reached 20, his voice lowered. I can finally think properly. A pause. His expression darkened slightly.
He stood up and slowly stepped into the corridor. What he saw shocked him. It was a zombie apocalypse. Dead bodies were everywhere. Blood was smeared across the walls. He reached the hospital lobby and saw other zombies roaming around, moving in strange, unnatural ways.
Damn, they look creepy. Wait, do I look like them too? He quickly found a washroom and looked at himself in the mirror. Damn, I look ugly. Then he noticed another stat in the system window. Appearance, -15. Wait, that means I can improve my appearance? But to gain 15 appearance points, I need to kill 150 humans. And if I want to become handsome, I'll need to kill 200 to 300 people, assuming I don't assign points to any other stats. He stared at the numbers, jaw tightening. Are you fucking kidding me? A bitter laugh slipped out, dry and humorless. Still fuming, he shoved the thought aside and pushed through the exit doors. He walked out of the hospital, the stench of death fading behind him. The entire world had turned into a zombie apocalypse. When he focused on another zombie, he noticed a number floating above its head. 4. Wait, what does that number mean? He looked at other zombies. Some had 0, some had 1.3, some had 0.2. Are these intelligence points? I can see zombie intelligence? Damn, this system is cool. That means if these zombies kill more than 200 humans, they could also gain human-like intelligence. But now, it'll be difficult. More than 90% of humans must have already turned into zombies. Only around 10% must remain. And those remaining humans must be the aggressive type, the ones who hunt zombies. Gaining points from now on will be very hard. Last night, I had plenty of prey, but from today onward, I might be the one being hunted. No, no, no! I need to think of a way to gain points. With that thought, Ethan moved deeper into the city. First of all, I wanted them dead. Every bully who tortured me day after day, every laugh, every kick, every humiliation, I would take revenge. For myself and for Billy. Billy was the only friend I ever had in my life. Like me, he was nothing more than a punching bag for monsters who wore human faces. 2 days ago, on the school rooftop, everything shattered. A pink-haired girl with round glasses stood trembling near the railing. Her name was Mina Aoyama. She was crying. 7 bullies surrounded her, 3 girls and 4 boys, smug faces and eyes full of cruelty. They had torn her shirt apart. Mina stood there in nothing but her white bra, arms crossed desperately over her chest, shoulders shaking as tears streamed down her face. The leader of the girls stepped forward. Her name was Rika Valen. Blonde hair, sharp eyes, and a colorful tattoo winding around her neck. She smirked as she spoke. "How dare you try to seduce the class president, you bitch?" Mina shook her head violently. I didn't, I swear." Rika slapped her hard across the head. "Speak up, you dumb bitch!" "I didn't seduce him," Mina cried. "He just asked me to help him with math." Another slap, then another. "You think I'm blind?" Rika snarled. "You keep throwing hints at him." Meanwhile, Billy and I were on our knees a few meters away. Milk dripped from our hair, soaking into our uniforms. My face throbbed. Billy's lip was split open, blood staining his chin. We were forced to watch. Mina was Billy's crush. I saw his fists tremble. Seeing the girl in that state, Billy couldn't stop himself. And then he snapped. Billy stood up and kicked one of the male bullies, a red-haired bastard named Leon Cross. "Leave her alone," Billy shouted. Silence fell. Then rage. "How dare you?" someone hissed. All 4 boys, Leon, Marcus Hale, Noah Grimm, and Bruno King, lunged at him. They beat him like animals. I stood there, frozen, my body refusing to move as Billy was dragged to the ground. Mina collapsed nearby, sobbing, hugging herself, unable to look. "We'll kill you today, you bastard!" Leon roared.
They stomped him, again and again. Billy looked at me, through swollen eyes, through blood and pain. He looked at me with hope. That broke me.
I stood up. Stop! Stop! You'll kill him! I rushed forward, throwing myself over Billy, trying to shield him. And then they turned on me. Fists, kicks, elbows. Pain exploded everywhere.
The bell rang. Recess was over. Shh, I'm tired, Marcus muttered. Beating these dogs is exhausting. They stepped back, breathing heavily. I lifted my head. One of my eyes was completely swollen shut. I could only see through the other. Relief washed over me. Then I looked at Billy. I nudged him. Billy, get up. Nothing. Again, harder. Billy! No movement. Panic surged through me as I pressed my fingers to his neck. No pulse. He's not moving, I whispered. Leon suddenly kicked Billy's lifeless body. Hey, he sneered, tilting his head slightly. Why are you lying there like a dead dog? Trying to scare us? Ethan's chest tightened.
No, he screamed, his voice cracking apart under the weight of panic. He's dead. He has no pulse.
The words sliced through the air. The bullies froze. For a moment, no one moved. Dead? Rika whispered, her voice trembling, disbelief flickering in her sharp eyes. Then chaos broke. Sophie Lane collapsed to her knees, her entire body shaking as tears spilled uncontrollably down her face. I don't want to go to jail, she cried, her voice rising into a hysterical pitch. Jake, help me! I don't want to go to jail! Her screams echoed across the rooftop, carried away by the wind. Slowly, inevitably, all eyes turned toward one person, Jake Valen, the real leader. He stood slightly apart from the others, hands buried calmly in his pockets, as if he had nothing to do with the scene before him. His expression was strange. There was a flicker of horror in his eyes, but beneath it, calm, too calm. These two are witnesses, Jake said quietly, his voice steady, controlled, cold. We have to kill them too. The words landed like a hammer. The group recoiled. Kill them too? Someone stammered, voice filled with disbelief. Jake gave a single, small nod, like he was confirming something trivial. We'll throw them off the building, he continued, tone almost conversational. Make it look like suicide. A faint smile appeared on his lips, not wide, not exaggerated, just cold, calculated. The police will see the bruises, he said matter-of-factly. They'll immediately know they were being bullied, but they won't be able to prove who pushed them. His gaze swept across the group, ensuring every word sank in. I'll make sure this case ends as a suicide. No one argued. No one even tried. Then, sharply, Jake's gaze shifted. It locked onto the largest boy among them, Bruno. You'll do it, Jake said. You'll take the blame, Jake continued without hesitation. The police will need someone to pin the bullying on. In this school, plenty of people have seen you bullying them. He paused, letting the implications settle. There are enough witnesses. His voice lowered. You'll be the one who bullied them. Only you. The words hit harder than any punch. Bruno's face drained of color. You're betraying me? He shouted, panic breaking through his voice. I'll confess. I'll tell them everything. Jake stepped closer. His calm expression didn't change, but his presence became suffocating. Don't be stupid, he said sharply. He leaned in, close enough that Bruno could smell the faint trace of expensive cologne. Everyone here has fathers in high positions. His eyes flicked briefly toward the others, judges, politicians, executives, then back to Bruno. Your father, Jake whispered, his tone dropping further, is just a manager. Bruno's breathing turned uneven, shallow, desperate. Even if he loses his job, Jake continued smoothly, calculated, we'll get him another. He straightened slightly. At worst, you'll get 10 years for bullying and assault. A pause. He then added in a no-nonsense tone, they'll never be able to prove you killed them. Jake's voice returned to its usual calm. We'll hire the best lawyer and reduce it to 2 years. You're a minor, he added. Therefore, no death sentence. Bruno's fists clenched so tightly his nails dug into his palms. 2 years? He muttered under his breath. While you all live freely? He said again, louder this time, bitterness creeping into his voice. Jake smirked faintly. My father
is the commissioner. The words carried weight, authority, power.
He'll arrange parole. 15 days inside, 15 days outside. He gave a casual shrug. With money, anything is possible. The wind howled across the rooftop, carrying a heavy silence with it. Then Jake's tone hardened. Now hurry, he pointed toward the edge of the building. Throw them off. His voice turned almost casual again, chilling. If we're late to class, people will get suspicious. Bruno trembled from head to toe. He understood everything. He had never truly been one of them. He was only there because of his strength, nothing more. If he refused now, they would destroy him, his family, his future, everything. His throat tightened. Okay, the word barely escaped his lips. His shoulders slumped, as if something inside him had finally broken. I'll do it. Seeing all of this unfold, a cold wave of fear gripped Ethan's chest. His heartbeat became erratic, each pulse louder than the last. Are they serious? Are they actually thinking of killing me? Before he could process it further, a piercing scream shattered the tension. No! I don't want to die! It was Mina. Her voice cracked with pure terror as she suddenly turned and bolted toward the rooftop door, her movements frantic and uncoordinated, driven entirely by instinct. Stop her! Jake shouted sharply. One of the girls, Sophie Lane, reacted instantly. She lunged forward, reaching out to grab Mina, but her fingers closed on empty air. Damn it! Sophie stumbled for a second, then spun around and sprinted after her. Mina had already reached the stairwell. For a brief moment, hope flickered in Ethan's chest. She might escape, but that hope was crushed just as quickly. Sophie caught up. At the top of the stairs, she shoved Mina with brutal force. Mina's body lurched forward, then she fell. Her body rolled violently down the stairs, hitting each step with a sickening thud. Her glasses flew off, shattering as they struck the edge of the concrete. By the time she reached the bottom, she was barely moving. Blood spread across her face. Help me. Mina's voice trembled, weak and broken. Please, someone help me. Sophie walked down the stairs slowly, her expression twisted with irritation rather than guilt. Then she kicked Mina hard. This bitch. If you want to die so badly, at least do it properly. Jump off the school building. Ethan felt something inside him snap, but his body still wouldn't move. Wait. Jake's voice cut through everything. He stepped forward, his expression shifting as if a new idea had just formed. Actually, he said slowly, a faint smile forming, this is good. Everyone turned toward him. Ethan's stomach dropped. Jake looked directly at Ethan. Let's just throw him off the roof. For a moment, the world seemed to go silent. We'll say he fought with them. After they died, he panicked, thought he'd go to jail, and so he committed suicide. The plan came out smoothly, too smoothly, as if he had done this before. Bruno King, the large boy gripping Ethan tightly, suddenly felt salvation. That means, Bruno said carefully, I don't have to go to jail? Jake smiled, a calm, confident smile. That's right. Then his expression hardened. Throw him off. Panic exploded inside Ethan. Wait! He struggled violently, trying to break free from Bruno's grip. I promise, I won't tell anyone. Please, just let me go. His voice cracked, desperation pouring out uncontrollably. I swear, I won't say anything to anyone. I won't tell the police. I won't tell anyone about this. Anything at all. But no one listened. Not a single one of them. To them, his words meant nothing. Hands shoved him backward. The edge of the rooftop disappeared beneath his feet, and then he fell. Bam! The world spun. Air was knocked from his lungs. Pain surged through his entire body. For a moment, everything blurred into nothingness. Ethan forced his eyes open, gasping. Above him, he could see them. The bullies stood at the edge of the rooftop, looking down at him, watching, waiting. But something felt off. Why doesn't it hurt as much as it should? His thoughts came slowly, sluggishly. Then he realized he wasn't on the ground. He was lying on fiber plastic, hard, but not concrete. He lowered his head. His eyes widened slightly. A bus. He had landed on the roof of a bus. Fuck, he whispered hoarsely. I'm alive. The realization hit him all at once. The school building was only 4 stories tall. Because of the bus parked below, he had effectively fallen only 3 stories, and most of the impact had been absorbed. Pain still coursed through his body. Every breath burned, but he was alive. Barely. I'm badly injured, but I'm still alive. Slowly, he turned his head and looked up again at them, at the people who had just tried to kill him. His expression hardened. A dark, cold thought surfaced in his mind. I will kill every single one of you. Back to the present. After the impact,
Ethan had blacked out completely, and when he opened his eyes again, he was in a hospital. The memory lingered like a scar that refused to fade. A heavy silence filled his chest. I wonder, did Billy and Mina get a proper funeral? The thought twisted painfully inside him. Then his expression darkened. I need their addresses. The bullies. Every single one of them. The school records should have everything. Without hesitation, Ethan began moving toward the school. His steps were steady, but his mind was anything but. The memory of the rooftop still lingered, burning at the edges of his thoughts.
Then, as he passed a narrow corner between two buildings, a faint, desperate voice reached his ears.
Help me! Help me!
Ethan stopped, his head tilted slightly. There, just ahead, a girl was running. Her breathing was ragged, uneven, her body trembling with exhaustion. In her hand, she clutched a large water bottle, gripping it like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Behind her, 4 zombies. Their movements were erratic yet relentless, dragging their feet, growling, drawn forward by instinct and the scent of flesh. She must have gone out to gather supplies, Ethan thought, watching silently. Suddenly, "Hey! Over here! Come here!" The girl's head snapped toward the sound. Frantic, an older man, around his 50s, was waving at her frantically, panic written all over his face. A scooter idled beneath him. "Hurry!" he shouted. Hope flashed across the girl's face. Without hesitation, she rushed toward him. Ethan watched carefully. As she reached him, the man quickly said, "Get on! Sit behind me!" For a brief moment, everything seemed like it might work, like she might escape. But then, everything twisted. Without warning, the girl swung the water bottle with all her strength. Crack! It slammed into the side of the man's head. He collapsed instantly, hitting the ground hard. Ethan's eyes narrowed. The girl didn't hesitate. She grabbed the scooter and kicked it upright in one swift motion. Within seconds, she started it and sped off. "How dare that old creep, trying to make me sit with him," she muttered angrily as she drove away. Ethan stood there, stunned, disbelief. That's why? For that reason, she betrayed him. The sound of the scooter grew louder. She was heading straight toward him. In an instant, Ethan moved. He slipped behind a parked van, his presence melting into the shadows. The girl approached, unaware, closer, closer. The moment she passed, Ethan lunged. "Ah!" she screamed, the sound sharp and piercing. "No! Don't kill me!" Too late. In a single fluid motion, Ethan tore into her neck. Flesh ripped, blood spilled. Her body went rigid. She stared at him, eyes wide, filled with disbelief and terror. "No! I can't die!" Her voice faded. A faint notification flickered in Ethan's mind. Stats, plus 0.1. He didn't react. Grabbing her by the hair, he dragged the lifeless body across the ground, back toward the fallen man. The uncle was still alive, barely. His body trembled as he looked up at Ethan, eyes filled with pure, desperate fear. "Please, please let me go," he begged, his voice shaking uncontrollably. "I have a wife, kids, please." Tears streamed down his face. "I'll never help anyone again. I swear. God, please, just save me today. I've never hurt anyone in my life." Ethan didn't respond, didn't even look at him for long. He simply walked past, straight toward the approaching zombies. Then he threw the girl's body toward them. The moment the scent of fresh blood spread, the 4 zombies lunged at it, tearing into the body with mindless hunger. Ethan watched for a second. His stomach felt full, and more than that, he didn't want to eat. Before, when I had no intelligence, it was like my body wasn't mine, but now I'm in control. He turned around. Behind him, the man had managed to get up. He'd already scrambled onto his scooter and sped away. Thank you, God, thank you," the man kept muttering, his voice breaking as he drove off. Ethan watched him disappear into the distance. "I don't know how long you'll survive, Uncle, but people like you deserve to live." Silence returned. Without another word, Ethan turned back and continued walking toward the school. As Ethan continued walking through the street, something ahead caught his attention. He slowed. Across the road, around 10 to 12 people had gathered outside a general store. They weren't shopping, they were looting. Shelves were being emptied, items shoved into bags, hands moving greedily and without restraint. Some stood guard, scanning the surroundings with tense expressions. Ethan immediately slipped behind a parked car, lowering his body and observing from cover. His eyes narrowed. Several of them were armed. Knives, iron rods, even guns. A quiet realization settled in. I'm not the only hunter anymore. These humans, they can kill too. Then, a movement. Something shifted near the row of abandoned cars further down the street. Ethan focused. A figure, low,
careful, hiding. His pupils shrank slightly. A zombie? But this one wasn't stumbling aimlessly. It was moving with intent, using cover, hiding behind vehicles. Ethan felt a flicker of shock. Another one with intelligence? He could smell it, that unmistakable scent of decay. There was no doubt it was one of them.
At that moment, a woman stepped out of the general store. She held a bag filled with supplies, her hands trembling slightly. Behind her, a small child, her daughter, clutching on to the edge of her clothes. They had barely taken a few steps when the hidden zombie lunged. It burst from behind the car with sudden, explosive speed. Ah! The woman screamed, but it was too late. The zombie tackled her to the ground and immediately sank its teeth into her flesh. Blood sprayed. The woman screamed in agony, then turned her head desperately toward her daughter. "Baby, run!" she cried, her voice breaking. "Don't stop! Run away!" The little girl froze, her small body locked in place, her eyes wide, unmoving. "Careful, there's an revolver there," one of the looters shouted. "Kill it, quick!" A gunshot rang out. Bang! The bullet struck the zombie's shoulder. It paused, just for a second, then slowly lifted its head, its eyes locked on the direction of the shot, and without hesitation, it ran toward the sound.
The street fell into a brief, fragile silence. The woman lay on the ground, trembling. Tears streamed from her eyes. The little girl ran toward her. "Mommy!" She threw herself into her arms, clinging tightly. The two held each other, crying. For a moment, it looked like they might have survived. Then, the woman's body jerked violently, unnaturally. Her limbs twitched uncontrollably. Her voice twisted into something unnatural. The girl pulled back slightly, panic flooding her face. Mommy, are you okay?" Ethan's expression darkened. Damn it, she's turning. He moved closer, carefully, watching. After a few seconds, the woman stopped moving, completely still. Silence. The girl hesitated, then slowly stepped closer. "Mommy?" She reached out. The moment her fingers brushed her mother, the woman's eyes snapped open. Dark, empty. She lunged straight at her daughter. Ethan moved instantly. He stepped forward and drove a brutal kick into the woman's face. Crack! The force snapped her head back. Her body went limp, dead again. The girl froze in place, her eyes locked onto her mother's motionless body. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She just stood there.
"Hey, save the girl!" a voice shouted from behind. Ethan turned. A man stood there, raising a gun, quickly loading it. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He dropped low instantly, ducking behind the car. Then he moved, fast, slipping into a nearby alley without hesitation. Behind him, another man rushed over. "Boss, did you see that?" he said, his voice shaken. "That zombie, it ducked after seeing the gun. Is that also an revolver?" The leader's face hardened. Grim. "That thing just killed another zombie," he muttered. Silence followed. "I don't know," the man said slowly. "Maybe that zombie is level 3, or even level 4. The man beside him swallowed hard. "They're evolving too fast." The burly leader exhaled sharply. "Forget it. Take the child," he ordered. "She just lost her mother."
On the other side, Ethan finally slowed down. He stopped inside the alley, breathing steadily. "Fuck," he muttered under his breath. That was dangerous. He leaned briefly against the wall, thinking. I wanted to save the girl, and also test something. His eyes narrowed slightly. If I kill another zombie, do I get points? He already knew the answer. Looks like killing zombies gives nothing. He exhaled slowly. Then another realization surfaced. And the virus, just one bite is enough. If they only bite, the person turns. But if they eat the body completely, there's nothing left to turn. Silence settled around him. Ethan's gaze hardened. I need to understand this world, this new order. He pushed himself off the wall. Without another word, he turned and continued walking toward the school. Outside the school, Ethan slowed as the school building came into view. The place felt wrong, too quiet, yet not. From the outside, he could see movement through the classroom windows. Students, many of them were still inside, some pressed against the glass, their faces pale, desperate. A few had taped crude signs to the windows. Help, save us, pieces of paper, torn notebooks, anything they could find. Ethan's gaze lingered on them. That's actually smart. At least they were trying to signal for help. But his expression hardened. It won't last. Sooner or later, they'll have to come out. Food, water, supplies. And when they do, the zombies roaming the school grounds would be waiting. His eyes shifted downward. The open ground below was filled with movement. Zombies. Dozens of them wandered aimlessly, dragging their feet, occasionally bumping into walls or each other. Low groans echoing through the air. Ethan moved toward the main entrance. He pushed against the front door. It didn't budge. The entrance had been completely sealed, metal shutters pulled pulled down, reinforced from the inside with stacked benches and chairs. Locked, he muttered. He moved to another entrance. Same result. Blocked. Fuck, he exhaled sharply. How am I supposed to get inside? For a moment, he stood still, thinking. Then his gaze slowly lifted to the walls. He stepped closer, pressed his fingers into the rough surface. Then he focused. Strength. A subtle surge coursed through his body. His muscles tightened, his grip strengthened. I feel it. Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed onto a pipe running along the wall and began to climb. His movements were faster now, stronger, more controlled. Using the pipe, the edges of windows and cracks in the wall, he scaled the building. 1 floor, 2, 3. Then he pulled himself onto the rooftop. The moment his feet touched the surface, he froze. His eyes widened. No, they were still there. Billy and Mina, their bodies lay exactly where they had fallen. Unmoved, untouched. What? Ethan whispered, disbelief flooding his voice. What happened? Did no one even know they died? He walked toward them slowly, each step heavier than the last. He crouched beside Billy first, pressed his fingers against his neck. No pulse, nothing. Then Mina, the same, still, cold. They're truly dead. The words came out hollow. Ethan sat there for a moment, staring at them. Then his head lowered. I'm sorry, Billy, he said quietly. I couldn't save you. His gaze shifted to Mina. And you, his voice softened. We never even talked. You didn't have any friends in school. You were always alone. A pause. At least Billy and I had each other. Silence. Then Ethan's eyes hardened. I promise you both, I will kill those bullies.
A thought suddenly crossed his mind. Sharp, cold. The virus. Will it turn them into zombies? Like me. He hesitated only briefly, then reached down. Grabbing Billy's hand, he bit into it, then released. Moved to Mina and did the same. Then he stepped back, watching, waiting. That woman turned within 5 minutes. Let's see. 5 minutes passed. 10, 20, nothing. No movement. No twitch. No change. Ethan exhaled slowly. Looks like the dead can't turn into zombies. He stood up. Maybe I am. Too late. He turned toward the rooftop door. He grabbed the handle, pulled. Locked. His expression darkened. Did those bastards lock this after killing them? Annoyance flickered across his face. Damn it. He stepped back. Then, kick. The door shook. Bang. Another kick. Crack. On the third, the door burst open. Finally, he stepped inside. I need to kill more humans. Increase my strength. The thought lingered as he prepared to move further in. Then, a sound. Low. Distorted. Ethan froze. His senses sharpened instantly. Zombies? He murmured. He moved carefully towards the stairwell. Checked the area. Nothing. Empty. Then, again. This time, he felt it. The direction. Behind him. Slowly, Ethan turned. The awakening. Billy was moving. His body twitched. His mouth opened. A low, broken roar escaped. Ethan's eyes widened. Billy. He rushed forward immediately. Billy, can you hear me? No response. Only a faint, hollow growl. Then, Mina. Her body shifted. She too began to move. Ethan's vision blurred slightly. You're alive. His voice trembled, at least half alive. Tears formed in his eyes. Hey, listen to me, he said quickly. You need to gain intelligence. Can you hear me? No answer. Only low, mindless sounds. Nothing. Ethan clenched his fists. Then he vowed, I'll do it. His expression hardened. I'll provide humans to you. His mind began calculating. At least 400. He paused. Damn, at that number, even he felt the weight of it. With that many points, I could become incredibly strong. 40 points in strength? I already feel powerful with just 15 points.
He exhaled. Never mind. He looked at them one last time. Wait here. I'll come back. He locked them in. Ethan stepped out through the broken door. Nearby, he spotted a metal pipe lying abandoned. He picked it up, forced it into place, then bent the structure, sealing the door shut from the outside. That should hold. The next step. Ethan turned toward the stairwell. His mind was already moving ahead. Where can I find that many humans? The question lingered as he began descending, step by step, toward the administration office.
Soon, Ethan stood outside the administration office. The corridor was eerily quiet, the faint hum of distant groans echoing through the building. He reached for the handle, locked from the inside, he muttered. Without hesitation, bang, he kicked the door open. Inside, teachers and administrative staff were gathered together, sitting comfortably, eating a full, lavish meal spread across the tables. For a brief second, the scene felt surreal, like the world outside didn't exist. One of the bald teachers stood up abruptly, his face twisting in anger. Which bastard entered without permission? He shouted. His voice echoed across the room. Didn't you hear the announcement? Students must stay in their classrooms. Do not go outside. It's a zombie apocalypse. He pointed toward Ethan, his tone authoritative, almost scolding. The government will bring food to you. Right now, we don't even have enough food ourselves. Ethan didn't respond. He simply looked past him, at the table,
at the food, plates overflowing, more than enough. The bald teacher noticed his gaze. Panic flickered across his face. This is the first batch the government dropped from the air, he stammered quickly. We're just testing it for you students. Now go back to your class. Ethan stared at him silently. Does he think I'm a student? He slowly raised his hand and pulled up his hoodie, covering his face. The room froze. The teacher's face drained of all color. Zombie? The scream barely left his mouth before Ethan moved. He lunged, fast, brutal. The teacher tried to fight back, but it was meaningless. With 15 strength, Ethan overwhelmed him effortlessly. Bones cracked, bodies fell. Brief screams filled the room, then were silenced. Within 20 seconds, 24 teachers lay dead, their bodies scattered across the floor, blood pooling beneath them. Silence returned. Ding, plus 2.4 points. Ethan's gaze flickered briefly. Charm, he muttered. He allocated the points, then turned toward the computer. The search. The screen was still on. He stepped forward and began searching. Names, Jake Valen, Sophie Lane, and others. He typed quickly. Then, results. Address, 407 Silvercrest Heights, Sector 9, one of the city's most elite residential zones. Ethan stared at it. Of course, high-class families, all of them. He grabbed a piece of paper, wrote everything down, precisely, then turned and walked out of the room. He pulled his hoodie cap back on, hiding his face. As he moved through the lobby, a classroom door suddenly opened. A girl stepped out. She froze when she saw him. Her eyes widened. Did you bring food for us? She asked, her voice trembling with hope. We haven't eaten since yesterday. Ethan said nothing. He simply looked past her, into the classroom. Inside, 3 boys were tied to chairs, their mouths taped shut. They struggled weakly, making muffled sounds. The rest of the students stared at Ethan, hopeful, desperate. Ethan raised his hand, pointed toward the administration office, on the left. The girl blinked. Is the food there? Ethan nodded once. Yes. Her face lit up instantly. Thank you so much, she said, her voice filled with relief. Ethan turned and walked away.
Inside the classroom, the girl, Ayaka Hoshino, the class monitor, turned toward the others. 2 boys, come with me, she said firmly. Everyone else, stay in your seats. Don't move, don't make noise. The 3 tied boys struggled harder. Ayaka glanced at them coldly. Your stupidity will get us all killed, she said. Stay quiet. Then she stepped out, with the 2 boys following behind. They reached the administration office. Ayaka knocked. Sir, can we come in? No response. She frowned, knocked again. The door creaked slightly open. It's open, she murmured. She pushed it further and looked inside. Then she screamed. The 2 boys rushed forward, looked in. One froze in shock. The other turned and vomited instantly. The scream echoed through the corridor. Inside the classroom, panic erupted. Did the class monitor die? One girl cried. Did zombies attack her? Lock the doors, quick! 2 boys rushed forward and locked it immediately. A girl broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Mom, Dad, save me! I don't want to die! I don't want to become a zombie! Fear spread like wildfire.
Back at the administration office, after a moment, Ayaka forced herself to move again. She stepped closer, peeked inside, then nudged the stunned boy beside her. Hey, she said, her voice shaking but firm. There's food here. Take it. The boy blinked. His eyes shifted to the tables, to the untouched food. He swallowed hard, then glanced once at the dead teachers, sighed, and stepped inside. He began grabbing whatever he could from the tables. Ayaka moved deeper into the room, then stopped. There's more here, she said. Her voice carried. Lots of crates, packed. The boy approached her, still holding food in his hands. His eyes widened. So much. With this, we can survive for a long time. Ayaka shook her head. Don't get too happy, she said. This isn't just for our class, it's for the whole school. The boy nodded slowly, then hesitated. Monitor, who was that man? He asked. The one who told us about this. Why didn't he take the food for himself? And how did all the teachers die? Ayaka's expression darkened. Most likely, she said quietly, he killed them. The boy stared at her, disbelief. Why would he kill them? Ayaka looked at the bodies with fresh blood, then at the food. Maybe he didn't like that they were hoarding it. Or maybe, her voice lowered, that wasn't a man. The boy stiffened. A zombie? But he talked to you. If he was a zombie, why didn't he kill us? Ayaka shook her head slowly. I don't know. Then her eyes hardened. But if he was a zombie, then he's an evolver, a very high-level one. She took a slow breath. If something like that can enter the school without being noticed, When all entrances are blocked, then we're just waiting to die. Silence fell. Zombies are evolving too fast, she continued. We need to get stronger. Returning with supplies, they picked up the crates, carried what they could.
Returned to the classroom. Ayaka knocked. Opened the door. No response. Prove your Ayaka our monitor, someone shouted from inside. What if zombies can transform? We don't know. And where is the other boy? Ayaka replied immediately. He's still there, guarding the food. I'm your class monitor. We need more people to carry the crates. Still, no one moved. Doubt filled the room. Then, she said firmly, there are no zombies that can talk and think like humans. Silence. Then, realization spread. The door opened. They entered, set the food down. Ayaka immediately picked 4 more boys. They made multiple trips. 2 rounds later, all the food was secured. Ayaka stood at the front of the class. Listen carefully, she said. All the teachers are dead. Shock exploded. What? How? She made up a lie on the spot. She spoke calmly. One of the teachers was probably infected, turned into a zombie, and killed the rest. She looked at the food. This is limited. From now on, we have to go out to gather more. The room reacted in chaos. Some students cried. Some boys grew excited, trying to act brave, talking about protecting the girls, pretending to be heroes. Outside, elsewhere, Ethan walked away from the school. He carried 2 bodies on his shoulders, Billy and Mina. His grip was firm, his direction clear. He knew exactly where to go. There's a place where many people are gathered in one spot, waiting, helpless. A faint, cold smile touched his lips. Jail. The city jail stood on the outskirts, isolated, silent. Its capacity was around 2,000 prisoners. If I find even 500, that's enough. 30 minutes later, Ethan arrived. Billy and Mina still on his shoulders. From the outside, the place felt deserted. No guards, no movement. No sound. Looks empty, Ethan muttered. Did the police run away? Did the prisoners escape too? A flicker of uncertainty crossed his mind. If they're gone, then where will I find this many people? Safe camps? Maybe. He stepped inside. Inside the jail. The lobby was empty, completely abandoned. The silence felt unnatural.
Ethan moved forward and entered the security room. Inside, the monitors were still active. Rows of screens flickered, and what he saw made his lips curl slightly. Every prisoner was still inside their cells. 4 prisoners in each cell. Shouting, banging, causing chaos. Open the door. Let us out. Help. A slow thought formed. Perfect. Ethan dragged Billy and Mina's bodies just outside the main corridor, positioned them carefully, then returned to the security room. His hand hovered over the control panel for a second, then pressed down. Cell number 1, open. A harsh mechanical sound echoed through the prison. Metal locks disengaged, bolts slid back. The door groaned, then slowly opened. The men inside didn't hesitate. They rushed out immediately, boots striking concrete, breathing heavy, free. At the same time, other prisoners slammed against their own doors, shouting, desperate. Help us too! Open our cells! Don't leave us in here! Their voices overlapped, panic rising. But the 4 men who stepped out of cell number 1 didn't even glance at them. They laughed. Ha ha ha! Finally, we are free. Now we take over this jail. The leader stepped forward, tall, scar across his cheek, eyes sharp with cruelty. Whoever we want, he said slowly, we save. Then a grin spread across his face. And whoever we want, we kill. The others chuckled darkly. One of the 4 shifted slightly. Boss, one of his men said cautiously, should we secure the security room first? Yes, he said finally. Got it, boss. 2 of the men turned and ran, boots echoing sharply through the corridor, heading straight for the security room.
Ethan watched everything through the cameras, then shifted his focus to 2 humans running, straight toward Billy and Mina. The moment they crossed the corridor, Billy moved. He lunged, tore into the first man instantly. Mina did the same to the second. No hesitation, no mercy. Blood splattered across the floor. Ethan observed calmly. They're starving. He pressed more buttons. Cell number 2, open. Cell number 3, open. 8 more prisoners rushed out. The first group's leader froze. His voice shook. Panic crept in. 4 of the other men stayed behind. The rest rushed toward the security room. Billy and Mina attacked again. Killed. 8. Again and again. Ethan continued. 1 cell after another. Systematically. Deliberately. He kept count. 350. 370. 390. He slowed. Almost there. His fingers hovered over the next button. He remembered what happened to him. After 200 kills, the fog cleared. The hunger dulled. Thought returned. Calculating, they should be close. He opened the next cell. Then the next. The count crossed 400.
He stopped, watched the monitors. Billy and Mina tore through the new group without pausing, without slowing, without thinking. Wait, he leaned forward, searching, their eyes still hollow, still empty, still wrong. No hesitation, no recognition, just feeding. Why aren't they stopping? He waited. 1 minute, 2, 5, nothing changed. Billy dragged a body into the corner. Mina circled the corridor like an animal. No awareness, no consciousness, just instinct. Did I miscalculate? Is 200 not enough for them? Or is there something else? He gripped the edge of the console. Did I turn them wrong? The doubt crept in fast, cold, heavy, suffocating. He had sacrificed over 400 people for this moment, and his friends were still animals. He exhaled slowly, then looked up at the corner of his vision, the panel that was always there, waiting. System? He spoke quietly. Why aren't they recovering? Other evolved zombies gain intelligence after 200. Why can't they think like me? A beat of silence.
Then, ding. System response. The threshold of 200 kills does not restore consciousness. It unlocks primal instinct, basic survival logic, pack behavior, territorial awareness, nothing more. For every subsequent 200 kills, a zombie recovers a fraction of their former cognition. The process is slow, gradual. Your situation was different. You possess the system. Upon your first kill, all generated stat points were forcefully allocated to intelligence automatically. Your friends have accumulated kills. Their bodies have grown, stronger, faster, more durable, but their minds remain far behind. Ethan stared at the screen, then leaned back. So they got stronger, but they're nowhere close to waking up. His jaw tightened. What a waste. He muttered it under his breath first, then again, louder. Fuck. He stood up, paced once. I fed 400 people to them, and they're still running on animal brain. He turned back to the console. Is there anything I can do? Can I force it? Can I make them prioritize intelligence first instead of letting the points scatter? Silence. Then, ding. System response. You can. You created them. You are their origin. In zombie hierarchy, you are the father. Turned zombies carry a biological imprint toward their creator, an instinct to follow, to submit, to obey. This extends beyond behavior. Because of this bond, you have authority over their stat panels. You may access them forcefully, redistribute their points, override current allocation, according to your will. Ethan went still. He read it again, slowly, then once more. I can just move their points myself? Ding. Correct. He let out a short breath. Damn. A beat. Then a quiet laugh. Not humor, just disbelief. This system is something else. He closed his eyes, focused, and pulled up Billy's panel. Billy. Stat panel. Kills. 214. Total points. 21.4. Current allocation. Strength. 6.2. Agility. 5.1. Endurance. 3.5. Durability. 2.6. Senses. 1.9. Intelligence. 1.0. Appearance, -9.8. Ethan looked at it, scattered everywhere. Strength, agility, durability, intelligence sitting at 1.1. He understood why. The system wasn't there to guide it. The points just went wherever the body needed most. Survival first, thought last. He reached in and moved everything. Strength, 1.4. Agility, 0. Endurance, 0. Durability, 0. Senses, 0. Appearance, -6.1. Intelligence, 20. He opened Mina's panel next. Mina. Stat panel. Kills, 209. Total points, 20.9. Current allocation. Strength, 6.8. Agility, 5.3. Endurance, 3.5. Durability, 2.6. Senses, 1.9. Intelligence, 1.0. Appearance, -9.8. He did the same. Everything moved. Intelligence, 20. Strength, 0.9. He released the panels, opened his eyes, looked back at the monitors, waited. The corridor was quiet. Still, Billy stood over a body, motionless. Then, his head lifted, slowly, his eyes focused, clear. Mina followed a second later. She looked at her hands, then at the blood on the floor. Then she screamed. She stumbled back into the wall. Ethan was already moving. He stepped out of the security room and into the corridor. Calm down. Billy turned, blinked, then ran. Brother! We're alive! We're alive! His voice cracked with something raw, something that had been buried under days of fog.
Let's drop out of school. We're not even learning anything. Ethan looked at him, quietly, melancholy filling his eyes. Billy. He pulled him into a hug. Then Mina's voice cut in. Ethan, why are we in a jail? Ethan released Billy, turned toward her. Billy blinked, then looked at Mina properly, his expression twisted.
What happened to you? Mina frowned. Look at yourself before asking. Billy touched his face. Cold, decayed. This? What? Ethan spoke. A zombie apocalypse has begun. They both froze, looked at each other.
Then Mina's eyes widened. Wait, I died, didn't I? On the stairs. Ethan nodded slowly. Yes. Billy stiffened. She died? How? Then how is she alive now? Ethan looked at him. Not just her. You died too. Billy's voice broke. I died? Mina answered. Yes, they beat you to death. Silence. Billy's mind struggled to process it. I died back there? Mina nodded. And after that, they tried to kill me too. I ran, but that bitch pushed me down the stairs. Her voice trembled. I thought I died. Ethan continued. Yes, both of you died. After that, they threw me off the building. Both stared at him. Then you died too? Billy asked. Ethan shook his head. They threw me, but I landed on the school bus. It absorbed most of the impact. I had fractures, concussions, but I was alive. A pause. At the hospital, someone infected me. I became a zombie, and it healed me. He looked at them. When I went back to the school to track down the bullies' addresses so I could find them and kill them, I found you still lying there on the terrace. I turned you, so you could at least be half alive. They stood in silence, processing everything. Billy spoke first. But how are we thinking? In movies, zombies are mindless. Ethan nodded. When a zombie kills humans, they grow stronger. They evolve. He kept it simple. No mention of the system. Maybe not ever. The more you kill, the more you recover. That's how it works. You two had already killed enough to start thinking again. He looked around the prison. Now that you can think, it's time to grind. We're killing all the prisoners today. Billy and Mina looked at each other, then nodded. Okay, Billy spoke. Most of them are criminals anyway. We gain strength. Ethan turned. Come with me. Inside the security room, Ethan pointed at the screens. There were 869 prisoners left now. They're scared. They won't come out. He turned. You open one cell at a time. I go in and kill them. We continue until I've taken my share. What's left is yours. Each kill makes you stronger. Understood? Yes, brother. Yes, Ethan.
After some time, bodies everywhere. Blood soaked into the floor. Silence followed the massacre. Only one cell remained occupied. Ethan stopped in front of it.
Inside stood a single man. He didn't look like the others. No madness in his eyes. No violence in his posture. Just exhaustion, a misfit among criminals. The former salaryman met Ethan's gaze without flinching. I've seen what you can do, he said quietly. His voice was steady, but not fearless. Are you some kind of super zombie? Ethan said nothing. The man took a step closer to the bars. He swallowed hard. I have one request, he continued, before you kill me. Slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a photograph. His hands trembled as he held it up. A young girl smiled from the picture. My boss' son, the man said, his voice tightening, killed my daughter. His fingers clenched around the photo. Please, either kill him, his breath hitched, or turn me into a zombie like you. His eyes darkened with something far deeper than fear. I want to kill him with my own hands. For the first time, his voice broke.
They framed me, he whispered. I got life imprisonment. A hollow laugh escaped him, bitter, empty. I can't even leave this place to take revenge. Ethan sighed. Becoming a zombie isn't easy. You have to kill hundreds of humans just to regain your senses, then more to gain strength. He gestured around. This is what we're doing here. I don't know any of these people. I just chose this place to farm. The man froze. That many people? Ethan turned away. You're free to go. I hope you get your revenge before you die. He walked off. Behind him, the man collapsed to his knees. Thank you. Thank you so much. Tears streamed down his face. Rest in peace, Alice. Your father will finally take revenge. He stood and walked out. Outside the jail, Ethan, Billy, Mina. The three walked side by side. Ethan and the other two walked in silence, their gazes drifting across the ruined streets. Burned vehicles, shattered glass, abandoned homes. The world had changed completely. Then, Billy's voice broke the silence. Brother? He said quietly. I want to see my mother. His tone trembled slightly. She's a single mother. I hope she's safe. Mina, still pale, still shaken, spoke next. I want to see my parents too. She looked ahead, her voice soft but firm. Our families live in the same community. We should go there. Ethan glanced at her. Billy had known Mina since childhood. Same neighborhood, same streets. That was why he had fallen for her. Ethan paused for a moment, thinking. Then he nodded. All right. If they're alive, we'll bring them supplies. Billy and Mina's eyes lit up instantly. Yes,
Billy said. "We can bring them everything they need." Without wasting another second, the three of them began moving. After 4 hours of walking, they reached the community. Familiar buildings, familiar streets, but something felt wrong. Empty, too quiet. Billy and Mina didn't wait. They split apart immediately, rushing toward their own homes. Ethan stayed behind, watching, waiting. Mina reached her apartment building quickly. Her breathing was uneven, her heart pounding. She looked up. Some residents peeked out from their windows, watching, silent. But the second floor, her floor, had no movement. No one was there. Her chest tightened. She rushed upstairs, step by step, faster. Then she reached her door. It was open, wide open. Her expression darkened. No. She stepped inside. Blood everywhere. The walls, the floor, the furniture. Her body trembled as she walked deeper inside. Then she saw them. Her mother, her father, her little brother. All three dead, torn apart, eaten. Who did this? Her voice broke. Who did this? Her scream echoed through the hallway. A voice responded from a nearby door. Mina, is that you? Mina stepped back into the hallway, stopping just outside her neighbor's door. Yes, Auntie, she called out, desperation breaking through her voice. Please, what happened to my family? Who killed them? There was no movement from inside. The older woman didn't dare open the door. Her voice came through faintly instead, tight with fear. Lower your voice, she whispered urgently. You'll attract zombies. Mina clenched her fists. Please, just tell me. The woman hesitated, then sighed. You should forget it. The man who did this has at least 150 people in his camp. Mina's jaw tightened. Quiet fury. Tell me who. Please. The woman waited a minute, then finally said, Black Boss. I don't know why he targeted your family. Something inside Mina snapped. Her teeth clenched. I'm going to kill him. She turned and ran. As Mina rushed out of the building, she saw Ethan, smoking, standing exactly where she had left him. The moment she saw him, she broke. My family, they're dead, she said, her voice cracking. Black Boss killed them. Ethan exhaled slowly. Where can we find him? Mina pointed north. There, no more words were needed. They moved together. Not long after, Billy found them. Ethan looked at him. Did you find your mother? Billy shook his head. No, no one was at home. His voice was quiet, uneasy. Then he turned to Mina. What about you? Mina slowly shook her head. They're dead. Billy froze. How? Black Boss killed them. Silence. Then Mina's voice hardened. We're killing him today. Billy nodded. All right. The three moved forward, together. Soon, voices echoed ahead. A commotion. They approached carefully. Near the entrance of a mall, a woman knelt on the ground, crying desperately. Please help me, she begged. My child is at school. He hasn't come home for 2 days. Billy froze. His lips trembled. Mom. Shifting, Mina's eyes locked onto a man nearby, twisting. Her expression twisted. Black Boss. Ethan's gaze sharpened. That's him. Black Boss stepped forward. He grabbed the woman's chin, lifted her face. Come sleep with me, he said casually. I heard you're a single mother, he smirked. I'll send my men to look for your son. The woman's eyes widened. You will? You'll really find my son? Black Boss laughed. Take her away. Have fun with her. Billy snapped. Rage exploded in his eyes. He charged forward. Instantly, Mina followed. Ethan moved behind them. First, Billy reached. His fist slammed into a man's face. He swung again, but 2 more grabbed him, pinned him down. Mina moved like a storm. She lunged. Her hand punched straight through Black Boss's stomach. You killed my family. Black Boss looked down at her hand, then up at her face and smiled. Ah, yes. Your mother was very tasty. His grin widened. We played with her, right in front of your father and brother. Something inside Mina shattered. She screamed and kicked him again and again and again and again. Blood splattered everywhere. Black Boss screamed, Help! Get this bitch off me! But no one came, because Billy and Ethan had already killed all his men. Billy sat in the corner, holding his mother tightly, shaking. Ethan stepped forward, standing before Black Boss. Why? He asked coldly. Black Boss coughed, then laughed weakly. Before the apocalypse, I offered her a deal, sleep with me, and I'd pay off her husband's debt. They had taken a loan from me for their daughter's tuition. I even offered extra money. His eyes darkened, seething, but that bitch refused. She even called the cops on me. I got 6 months in jail because of her. He grinned bitterly. When I got out a week ago, I was just waiting for the right moment. Ethan looked down at him, silent. Then he drove his finger into Black Boss's eye. A scream tore through the air. Ethan leaned closer. I'm not
going to kill you. Black Boss froze. Ethan stepped back. Stand up. Run. There are zombies behind us. Survive if you can. Then he turned and walked away. Wait! No, don't leave me! Black Boss screamed. Please! Ethan didn't stop. Run, he said calmly. They're almost here. Blind. Panicked, Black Boss staggered to his feet and ran in the wrong direction, straight into a horde of zombies. They fell on him instantly, tearing, biting, eating him alive. No! Help me! Please! His screams echoed, then faded. Then silence returned. Only the wet sounds of feeding echoed in the distance as the zombie horde tore Black Boss apart, piece by piece. Billy stood there motionless, his fists trembling violently. His mother was still kneeling on the ground, completely frozen in fear. Tears streamed endlessly down her face as she stared at the horrifying scene. "Billy?" she whispered weakly. Billy slowly turned toward her. The moment their eyes met, her body shook harder because she finally saw him clearly. The pale skin, the disturbing blood around his mouth, the hollow eyes. "Son," her voice cracked. Billy's expression immediately broke apart. He rushed toward her and dropped to his knees. "Mom, it's me," he said quickly. "Don't be scared. Please, don't be scared." The woman trembled uncontrollably. Her hands slowly reached towards his face. Cold. His skin was ice cold. Tears flooded her eyes again. "You're alive," she whispered. Then her expression twisted painfully. No. What happened to you?" Billy lowered his head. For a few seconds, he couldn't answer. Then, "I died," he said quietly. His mother froze. Billy clenched his fists tightly. "But Ethan saved me." He pointed toward Ethan. "He turned me into a zombie, so I could come back." The woman slowly lifted her gaze toward Ethan. For the first time, she noticed him properly. The hood, the unsettling eyes, the unnatural presence surrounding him. Fear flickered across her face again, but Ethan simply stood there silently. Mina stepped closer. "These are my classmates from school," Billy said softly. "They helped me." Billy's mother's eyes immediately filled with tears. She bowed her head repeatedly. Thank you for taking care of my child." Her voice trembled heavily. "He doesn't have a father. He became such a lonely child after losing him." Billy looked away quietly. Mina lowered her gaze. For a moment, none of them spoke. Then, suddenly, Billy's mother stiffened. Her expression changed as realization finally hit her. "Wait," she stammered, panic rising in her voice. You guys killed humans?" Fear slowly crept into her eyes. Billy inhaled deeply, then spoke calmly. "Mom, the law and order of the world has already collapsed." He looked around at the destroyed streets. "At this point, it's kill or be killed." His mother stared at him silently. For several long seconds, neither moved. Then finally, she lowered her head weakly. "Okay." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Let's go home." But Billy immediately shook his head. "No, Mom." His tone turned firm. "You go back home and lock the door. I'll bring supplies later." The woman's eyes widened in panic. "No!" she cried instantly. "Come back with me, son." She grabbed onto his arm tightly. "There's no one left in my life except you." Billy looked at her quietly for a moment.
Then Ethan finally spoke. "He's right, Auntie," he said calmly. "We'll come back." Billy's mother looked between the three of them. Fear, relief, confusion, all mixed together inside her eyes. Finally, she nodded weakly. "All right." The three left her standing near the apartment gate. She continued watching them until they disappeared further down the road. Silence followed for a while. Then Billy suddenly spoke. "Should we go take revenge now?" His voice was low, cold. "If I had died that day," his fists tightened, "who would have taken care of my mom?" Hatred burned inside his eyes. Then he looked toward Ethan. "Thank you," Billy said quietly, "for turning me into a zombie." Mina also stepped forward slightly. "And thank you for helping me take revenge for my parents." Ethan looked at both of them silently. The wind blew across the empty street. Then Billy slowly raised his hand forward. A savage grin appeared on his face. "Let's hunt those bullies now." Mina's eyes darkened with hatred. "Yeah." Ethan pulled his hood lower over his face. Then, the three of them began walking together toward the elite residential district where the bullies lived. Soon, the three of them reached the high-class residential district. Massive iron gates surrounded the entire area. Luxurious villas stood proudly behind tall walls, their white exteriors glowing beneath emergency lights, powered by backup generators. Expensive cars lined the roads. Security cameras still moved slowly from side to side, but what truly caught Ethan's attention was the army of armed men stationed outside. Dozens of them. Some carried rifles, others held machetes,
iron rods or pistols. Barricades had been built near the entrances using vehicles and concrete blocks. The rich had already fortified themselves. Billy narrowed his eyes. "Brother," he muttered quietly. "Looks like they hired local gang bosses as security." Ethan observed silently for a moment. Then he nodded slightly. "Possible." His gaze swept across the enormous villas.
The amount of food these people probably have stored inside, he smirked faintly. They only need to throw scraps at desperate people to make them work like dogs. Mina frowned. "Then what do we do?" Billy looked toward Ethan. "How are we supposed to get inside?" Ethan stayed silent briefly, then suddenly asked, "Do you want their food?" Billy blinked. "What?" "Their property, their money." Ethan continued calmly. "Do you want any of it?" Billy looked genuinely confused. What would we even do with those things now? Mina also stayed quiet. Money meant nothing in this new world. Food, strength, survival, only those mattered now. A cold smile slowly spread across Ethan's face. "Exactly." His eyes darkened. "So let's burn everything down." The words sent a strange thrill through the air. Billy grinned immediately. Mina's eyes widened slightly. Ethan turned and pointed back toward the abandoned streets behind them. "When we came here," he said calmly, "we passed hundreds of abandoned cars. Bring me as much gasoline as you can." Billy immediately smiled. "Yes, boss." Mina nodded too. Okay, 1 hour later, the three regrouped in a narrow alley near the district walls. 7 large gasoline cans were lined up beside them. Ethan himself carried several more smaller containers tied together with rope. The strong smell of fuel filled the air. Ethan looked toward the walls again. "Let's move. As soon as we get inside," he continued quietly, "start pouring gasoline everywhere. No hesitation." Billy and Mina nodded together. Then they moved, fast, silent, like predators. Near the outer boundary, 4 guards stood watch beside a barricade. One smoked lazily, while another sat on a chair, half asleep. None of them noticed Ethan approaching. By the time they realized, it was already too late. Crack! Ethan snapped the first man's neck instantly. Billy tore into another guard's throat. Mina drove her hand directly through the chest of the third. The fourth tried to scream, but Ethan covered his mouth and slammed his skull against the wall. Bam! The body dropped lifelessly. "Done," Billy whispered. Without wasting time, they climbed over the barricade and entered the residential district. Then they began pouring gasoline. Walls, front gardens, wooden doors, everywhere. The scent of fuel spread rapidly across the peaceful luxury neighborhood. Then Ethan lit the fire. Whoosh! Flames erupted instantly from one of the mansions. Within seconds, the fire spread violently. Heat exploded outward. Glass shattered. Smoke rose into the night sky. And immediately, chaos erupted. People screamed from nearby houses. Guards shouted loudly. Residents rushed outside in panic. "All guards to the eastern block! Fire! Move!" Ethan and the others immediately disappeared into the shadows, hidden, watching. Soon, some wealthy old men gathered near the burning mansion. Most wore expensive clothes, gold watches, rings, necklaces. Even during the apocalypse, they still dressed like kings. One particularly fat old man stepped forward. Gold chains hung around his neck like trophies. His face burned red with rage. "Who the fuck started this fire?" he roared. Nobody answered. The old man turned toward the armed guards. "What are you idiots standing around for?" he barked furiously. "Put the fire out!" The guard leader stepped forward carefully. "Sir," he said stiffly, "we don't have water." The old man froze. The guard continued, "We barely even have enough drinking water left. How exactly are we supposed to stop a fire this big?" The rich man's face instantly turned livid. "Useless trash!" he shouted. The guard leader's expression darkened dangerously. For a brief second, murder flashed through his eyes, but he lowered his head, said nothing. The old man pointed furiously toward the flames. "Then use dirt! Use sand! I don't care! If the fire spreads to the rest of the community, what happens then?" The guard leader clenched his jaw. Understood. Soon, everyone's attention became focused entirely on controlling the spreading fire. And while chaos consumed the neighborhood, Ethan and the others slipped away unnoticed, straight towards the bullies' homes. Ethan stopped beside a large mansion within an elite residential district. "Billy," he whispered, "climb the wall. Check if anyone's inside." Billy nodded immediately, then moved swiftly upward. His evolved body scaled the wall effortlessly, then began checking room after room silently through the windows. A few minutes later, he slipped inside through an open window. Ethan stood below in silence. 5 minutes passed. Then Billy reappeared. "No one inside," he whispered. Suddenly, Mina came sprinting toward them from another direction. "Ethan!" She stopped near Ethan, slightly breathless.
They're all gathered at Jake's house. Ethan's eyes narrowed instantly. Perfect. Soon, the three reached Jake Valen's villa. It was enormous, more like a private palace than a home. Bright lights illuminated the exterior. Luxury cars filled the driveway, and through the first-floor windows, several figures could be seen moving around. 5, maybe 6 people. Ethan's lips curled slightly. Good. At least we won't need to hunt them one by one. His voice turned cold. Let's go in. Kill anyone you see. Billy grinned savagely. Mina's eyes burned with hatred.
Then, the three moved. Like shadows, Billy entered first through the side entrance. Mina slipped in behind him. Their movements had already become frighteningly efficient, practiced, fast. A guard turned the corner. Billy instantly snapped his neck. Another reached for his weapon. Mina tore open his throat before he could scream. A houseworker froze after seeing the blood. Ethan grabbed him by the face and slammed him into the wall hard enough to crack the marble. Bodies dropped silently, one after another. The smell of blood spread through the luxurious halls. And yet, the villa remained eerily calm, as if the people living inside were too comfortable, too detached from reality to even sense danger. Then, they stepped into the living room. Soft yellow lights illuminated the space. Expensive paintings hung on the walls. A massive chandelier sparkled above. And right there, an old man and a woman stepped out from a side hallway, each holding a glass of red wine. Their expressions carried irritation, not fear. "Who is it?" the old man barked. "Who's making all this ruckus?" Ethan's eyes darkened.
Even in a zombie apocalypse, they live like this. A slow, cold anger rose inside him. He stepped forward calmly. "We're Jake's classmates," he said. The old man frowned slightly. Ethan continued, his voice steady but filled with quiet hatred. "He bullied us at school. A lot. Because of your influence, teachers and even the principal never dared to interfere." The woman scoffed lightly, as if the matter was beneath her concern. Ethan's gaze sharpened. "And now, since it's a zombie apocalypse, we're here for our revenge." He didn't wait. He turned his head slightly. "Mina, kill them." Instantly, Mina moved, like a released arrow.
The old man's expression twisted in outrage. "How dare you!" he shouted. "I'll kill your entire family." Ethan smiled faintly. "They're already dead." Before the old man could react, Mina's hand drove forward. A sickening sound echoed. Her fingers pierced straight through his chest. A blood-soaked hole appeared where his heart had been. The old man coughed violently. Blood spilled from his mouth. You. His eyes trembled. Then, instinctively, he turned toward his wife. She was no longer standing. Her body lay on the floor, completely mangled, unrecognizable. The wine glass shattered beside her, red liquid mixing with blood. The old man's eyes widened in horror. Ethan stepped forward calmly, grabbed him by the hair, and began dragging him up the stairs. The old man's body scraped across the polished floor, leaving a trail of blood behind. He struggled weakly, but it meant nothing. Ethan dragged him all the way to the upper floor, stopped outside a room, then, deliberately, knocked. Tuck, tuck. A voice came from inside. "Who is it? We don't need anything. Go away." Ethan knocked again. Tuck, tuck. Footsteps approached, annoyed, impatient. The door suddenly swung open. "What the hell do you want?" Jake Valen stepped out. "Do you want to die, you bastard?" He froze. His eyes locked onto Ethan. "You?"
Confusion flashed across his face. "What are you doing here?" He sneered instinctively. "Want to get beaten again?" Then, his gaze dropped to Ethan's hand, to the old man being held by the hair. Recognition struck. His face went pale. "Dad?" His voice trembled. His body froze completely. Ethan smiled slowly, mocking. "You always said your father would save you." His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. "Your father will protect you." He lifted the dying old man slightly. "Look, no one saved your father." At that moment, other students stepped out from behind Jake. 5, 6 of them. Leon, Marcus, Sophie, Noah, Bruno, all of them. They froze the moment they saw Ethan. Shock, creeping fear, shattering disbelief. What is he doing here? That's impossible. Then, stepping forward, Billy and Mina stepped forward behind Ethan. "Remember us?" Billy said with a grin. The room went silent. Every face turned pale. How? Sophie whispered. "How are you alive?" Billy and Mina smiled together, cold, inhuman. "We came back from the dead." A twisted laugh escaped Billy's lips, and then they attacked. Chaos exploded.
Billy slammed into Marcus, breaking his jaw with a single punch. Mina lunged at Sophie, throwing her across the room like a rag doll. Ethan grabbed Jake, slammed his head into the wall. Bang! Blood splattered. Jake screamed. Ethan didn't stop. "This head of yours," he said coldly, gripping his hair again. "Always thinking of creative ways to bully us, right?" Bang! Another smash. Jake's face twisted in pain.
Ethan grabbed his mouth and pulled his tongue out. This tongue, always talking shit about us. He yanked harder. Jake screamed. "Please!" Crack. Ethan twisted his hand, snapped his fingers, one by one. "These fingers. You kept pointing at me." Crack, crack, crack. Jake's screams filled the room. Ethan grabbed his arms. "These hands used to beat me." He tightened his grip. "Let's see if they can handle it now." Crack. Both arms broke. Jake collapsed to his knees, sobbing. "Please, no, please!" Ethan tilted his head slightly.
Studying him, I wonder, did you really have balls of steel? Jake's eyes widened in terror. "No, please!" Too late. Ethan kicked him in his balls, hard. Jake screamed and fell flat onto the ground. Ethan stepped forward again, crushed his legs. Crack, crack, bones shattered. Then he began beating him. Left, right, again. Again, again. Finally, he grabbed Jake's head and slammed it into the concrete floor. Dab, again, dab, again, dab. Blood spread beneath him. The other students stood frozen, terrified. You, Rika stuttered. "How did you become this strong?" Ethan looked at him and smiled. "That's a secret." His eyes turned cold. "And now, it's time for you to die." He stepped forward, ready to strike. But suddenly, Mina grabbed his arm. "Wait." Her voice trembled. "Let me." Her eyes burned with hatred. "I want to deal with her personally." Billy stepped forward too. "Yeah, Ethan, we want our revenge too." Ethan looked at both of them, nodded. "All right." He turned away. "I'll be outside." His voice was calm. "Make sure they see hell." He stepped out onto the balcony, pulled out a cigarette, lit it. The flame flickered briefly in the night air. He took a slow drag. Hollow smoke filled his lungs. "Finally," he whispered, "I've taken my revenge." He looked up at the dark sky. "Mom, Dad, I'm fine. I'm living happily." The cigarette burned slowly between his fingers. Inside, screams echoed, then faded. Time passed, and just as the cigarette reached its end, the door opened. Billy and Mina stepped out. Both of them were drenched in blood, from head to toe, like they had bathed in it. Ethan glanced at them. "All done?" Billy smiled, wide, satisfied. "Yeah, this is the happiest day of my life." Before Ethan could respond, a voice echoed from below. "Get out, whoever's inside. I'm here to take my child back." Another voice followed. "We heard screams from here. Are our children okay?" Ethan stepped forward, looked down from the first-floor balcony. Below, around 30 people had gathered, other bullies' parents. Ethan smiled. "Looks like it's my lucky day." Without hesitation, he jumped from the first floor, landed in the middle of them, and began killing. Billy's voice echoed from above. "It's a farm spree, let's go!" He jumped down. Mina followed, and the massacre began. Screams filled the air. Blood sprayed across the ground. People ran, begged, cried, but none escaped. Guards rushed toward the scene. Residents came running. But Ethan, he didn't stop. He killed anyone who came near. His system echoed constantly. Ding, plus 0.1. Ding, plus 0.1. Ding, plus 0.1. The numbers kept rising, and he kept killing. Soon, all the guards were dead. Bodies covered the ground. Then, the fat old man stepped backward. The same one from earlier. "Wait, wait, wait!" His face twisted in rage. You bastard!" he shouted. "How dare you kill people here? I'll have you imprisoned for life!" Ethan didn't even look at him. He simply spoke calmly. "Billy, Mina, kill everyone." His eyes swept across the trapped residents. They can't escape outside. Zombies are everywhere. They're just rats trapped in a cage. His voice turned cold. "Leave no one alive." Billy and Mina nodded. Got it. Understood. Then, they moved again, killing, without mercy, without pause. Suddenly, Ethan appeared in front of the fat man. Before he could react, Ethan's hand pierced through his chest. "Try me," he said calmly. The man's eyes widened, then went blank, and Ethan continued the slaughter. 3 hours later, silence. Blood covered everything. The ground, the walls. Ding! Plus 15.6 points acquired. Ethan exhaled slowly, then opened his system and distributed the points. Strength, 31. Agility,
22. Endurance, 11. Durability, 9. Senses, 13. Appearance, -5. Intelligence, 20. Locked. His body surged with power, stronger, faster, sharper. He closed the system, then turned to Billy and Mina. All three of them stood in the middle of death. They smiled. Mina suddenly broke down. Tears streamed down her face. Finally, we took our revenge. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. He looked at them. How strong have you two become? Billy grinned. I feel like I can take down hundreds of humans alone. Mina wiped her tears. Same here. Ethan nodded. Good, that's enough. He turned away. Let's go back home.
They stepped out of the villa compound, through broken gates, past burning cars, across ground soaked in blood. The night air was thick with smoke. The screams had long faded. Only silence remained. Then they stopped. A group of zombies stood ahead of them, 35, blocking the road completely. Unlike the mindless ones, these stood still, watching, waiting. At the front, one zombie with focused eyes stepped forward. Tall, lean, his movements controlled, his eyes clear, aware, a hunter, a predator. He looked directly at Ethan. Did you kill all the humans in this settlement? His voice was calm, but carried weight, authority. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly. Shock flickered through his mind. He has intelligence? Did he also reach 20 points without the system? Just how many humans has he killed? For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then, Ethan slowly nodded. Yes, Curoblade's gaze darkened. We were planning to hunt here, he said. You've taken my prey.
Ethan stepped forward slightly. They're already dead. He shrugged faintly. What can we do now? Then his eyes sharpened. If you want, fight us. The air grew tense, heavy, suffocating. Curoblade's eyes shifted to Billy, to Mina, both covered in blood, both standing without fear. They've been hunting too, he thought. Just like me. He looked at their posture, their stillness, their control. All three regained their senses. A flicker of unease crept into his chest. Then he glanced behind him, counting at his group. 35 zombies, all of them mindless. Only he stood aware. Did I just provoke a devil? For the first time, uncertainty touched him.
Then he smiled, a thin, careful smile. Boss, he said lightly, raising both hands slightly. We were just passing by. We smelled blood, so we stopped. A pause. Then, we'll leave. Ethan said nothing, just watched. Curoblade slowly stepped back, then turned. His group followed, dragging their feet, vanishing into the dark streets. Hollow silence returned once again. Billy exhaled. That guy, he was dangerous. Mina nodded slightly. Yeah. Ethan looked at the empty road ahead. There are more like us. His voice was quiet. But not all of them are allies. Then they walked forward, disappearing into the ruins of the world.
5 years later, the world had changed completely. Cities had fallen. Nations had collapsed. Skyscrapers stood hollow. Highways were graveyards of rusted vehicles. Nature had begun reclaiming everything, but not peacefully. This was no longer a human world. Only 1% of humanity remained. The rest were either dead or turned. Zombies had evolved. Some regained intelligence. Some formed groups. Some became hunters of both humans and each other. The world had split into prey and predators. Underground bunker, unknown location. A dimly lit bunker, flickering lights. The air was heavy. Dozens of survivors sat in silence, their faces hollow, eyes sunken, fixed on a single cracked screen at the front. No one spoke. No one moved. Hope had become something fragile here, something dangerous to feel. Then the screen flickered, static crawled across it, and the broadcast began. A man appeared, wearing a suit, his collar stained, his face aged, eyes tired, haunted, the last president of unified Earth. For a moment, he said nothing, just looked into the camera, as if searching for anyone still alive on the other side. Then his voice echoed through the bunker. To all surviving humans, and to those who have regained their senses as a zombie. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Some looked down, some clenched their fists. We know you exist, the intelligent ones, the evolved
Evolvers, he inhaled slowly, like even speaking those words cost him something. You are the only hope left for humanity. Static flickered violently for a second. The signal almost dropped. Then, join the ZCB division, Zombie Control Bureau. We are building a force to reclaim this world. His voice weakened slightly, but didn't break. If anyone is still listening, this is our last stand. The screen glitched, froze, then went black.
Silence filled the bunker. No one spoke. No one reacted immediately. The weight of his words lingered in the air, heavy, unavoidable. Some survivors stared at the blank screen as if waiting for it to come back. Others slowly lowered their heads. A woman in the corner began to cry quietly, trying to suppress the sound but failing. A man clenched his jaw so tightly his teeth cracked faintly. No one answered. A young boy looked up at his mother. "Mom, will the world ever go back to how it was? When can I go play football with my friends again?" The mother didn't respond. She couldn't. Her arms just tightened around him. In the far corner, an old man let out a dry, hollow laugh. "Hope," he muttered. "Even now, they're still selling hope."
Elsewhere, a battlefield of broken buildings stretched in every direction. Collapsed concrete, twisted steel, the ruins of a dead world. Ethan stood at the center, face calm, stronger, faster, deadlier. Blood dripped slowly from his fingers. Across from him, an evolved zombie, tall, distorted, its eyes glowed faintly. A crooked smile spread across its face, aware, hungry. Then it moved, fast, too fast, a blur of motion. Before Ethan could fully react, its claw tore through his shoulder. Rip, flesh split open, blood sprayed into the air. Ethan staggered back, pain flared, but he didn't fall, didn't even groan. Then, bang, bang, gunfire echoed through the ruins. The creature paused, turned. Billy stood behind it, grinning. A chainsaw roared to life in his other hand. Beside him, Mina, holding an M4 rifle, calm, focused, precise. Bullets ripped into the creature's body. Thud, thud, thud. It growled, low, violent, then slowly turned back toward them, eyes filled with killing intent. Billy smirked. Round 2, Mina's lips curved slightly. "Let's finish it." They stepped forward, standing beside Ethan, together, 3 against 1. The creature lunged again, this time straight at Mina. She fired, controlled bursts, forcing it to stagger mid-charge. Billy rushed in from the side, chainsaw screaming. He swung hard. The blade tore across its torso, but the creature caught his arm mid-motion. Crack! Billy's grin only widened. "Got you." Ethan moved. In an instant, he appeared behind it, grabbed its neck, and slammed it down. The ground shattered beneath the impact. Before it could recover, Mina emptied another round into its head. Billy yanked free, then Billy drove the chainsaw straight into its chest. The engine roared, loud, violent, drowning out everything else. The creature convulsed, its body jerked violently, struggled, twisted, then went still. Then, ding! You have killed an evolved zombie, stealing 10% stats. In progress. The notification flashed before Ethan's eyes. Ethan's expression didn't change, not even slightly. But inside, he felt it. A surge, power flooding through his veins, muscles tightening, senses sharpening. His heartbeat steadied, stronger, heavier. Without drawing attention, Ethan dismissed the system window with a subtle thought. No one noticed. He exhaled slowly, calm, controlled, but his grip tightened slightly, adjusting to the new strength flowing within him. Billy stepped back, dragging the chainsaw free with a wet, tearing sound. Blood splattered across the ground in thick drops. He wiped his face with the back of his hand, grinning, eyes shining with excitement. "Damn," he muttered, breath still heavy. "These mutant evolvers are getting seriously strong." Without waiting, Billy crouched beside the corpse. The creature's chest was torn open, flesh shredded, ribs exposed. He reached inside without hesitation. A moment later, he pulled something out, a core, dark, dense, pulsing faintly with an unnatural glow. "Ethan," Billy said, holding it up, almost impressed. "Look how big this one is." Ethan glanced at it, then nodded once. But his gaze didn't linger, because to him,
That core meant far less than what he gained from his system. A year ago, hunters had discovered it. Evolved zombies carried these cores, and consuming them could grant power, strength, senses, a shortcut to evolution. At first, it was used by humans, a desperate gamble to survive. But later, they realized something even more terrifying. Evolved zombies could use them too, and the effect was even stronger. Billy grinned, clearly pleased, and slipped the core into his pocket. Jackpot, he muttered under his breath.
Mina glanced at him briefly. Then Billy spoke. You heard the president's announcement? Ethan nodded and said yes. What should we do? Mina crossed her arms casually, leaning slightly toward Billy. The two stood close. Comfortable, familiar. Ethan rolled his eyes. Go away. Don't throw your romance drama here. Billy laughed. Mina smirked. Jealous? Ethan ignored them. Then his expression shifted. Serious. There's something else. They both looked at him. Ethan continued. Some scientists in the West created a medicine. It can turn zombies back into humans. Silence fell. Billy's face faded. What? Mina's eyes widened slightly. You're serious? Ethan nodded. It's already been tested, and it works. Billy's expression slowly turned uneasy. Then, what happens to us? No one spoke. The wind howled softly through the broken city. Ethan didn't answer immediately. His gaze drifted into the distance. Then, a sound, low, mechanical, unfamiliar. Ethan's head tilted slightly. You hear that? Billy frowned. Yeah. Mina narrowed her eyes toward the road ahead. The sound grew louder. Engines, heavy, multiple. Then, 4 armored vehicles came into view. Massive, reinforced steel plating, bullet-scarred surfaces. Each one moved with controlled precision, crushing debris beneath their tires. They rolled forward and stopped right in front of Ethan, Billy, and Mina. The engines idled. A deep, rumbling growl filled the air. Dust slowly settled around them. On the side of each vehicle, 3 bold letters were painted in white. ZCB. Silence. Tension. Defensively, Billy tightened his grip on the chainsaw. Ethan's eyes stayed fixed on the vehicles.
Then a door opened. Clank! A man stepped down, pale, sharp features, in white uniform. Too clean for this world. His clothes were intact, untouched. His posture perfect. His eyes calm, controlled, aware. Behind him, more doors opened. One by one, 12 figures stepped out in same white combat uniform. Men, women, different faces, same presence. Their movements were smooth. Each carried weapons, blades, guns, chains. Ethan's gaze sharpened. Awakened humans. Billy let out a low whistle. That's a whole squad. Mina didn't speak, but her grip tightened slightly on her rifle. The pale man stepped forward slowly. His boots echoed against the cracked road. He stopped a few meters away, looked at Ethan, then Billy, then Mina. A faint smile touched his lips. So, he said calmly, you're the ones making all this noise.
Silence followed, heavy, unseen lines drawn, predator meeting predator. Billy leaned slightly forward. You here to fight? The man's gaze dropped briefly to Ethan's injured shoulder, then rose again. Maybe. A pause. Then, we're here to recruit. The word hung in the air. Strange, out of place. Mina frowned. Recruit. The pale man took another step forward. The world is changing, and we're gathering the ones who can keep up. Ethan remained silent, watching, measuring. Smooth. Join us, the man continued. His eyes darkened slightly. Or get hunted. Billy smirked. By you? The man only smiled faintly. The wind picked up. Dust swirled between them. Mina glanced at Ethan. Billy cracked his neck. Say the word. Ethan didn't respond. His gaze drifted briefly to the symbol on the armored vehicle. ZCB. A new force, a new power, a new order, and something about it felt wrong, very wrong.
The pale man extended his hand slightly. Last chance. The world seemed to hold its breath. Ethan slowly lifted his gaze. A faint smile appeared, cold, unimpressed. No.
The word was simple, but absolute. The pale man's smile faded, just slightly. Ethan stepped forward, just one step, and the pressure in the air shifted. If you came here thinking we'd surrender. His voice was calm, but heavy. You picked the wrong people. Billy grinned wider. Mina raised her rifle just a fraction. The evolvers behind the man tightened their grip on their weapons.
Tension spiked, ready to explode. And just as it peaked, a roar echoed behind them. Deep, massive, inhuman. The ground trembled. Everyone turned, even the pale man. From the shadows, a monstrous figure emerged. A chimera zombie. Gigantic, twisted, multiple limbs fused unnaturally. Its body pulsed with raw, unstable power. The air itself seemed to distort around it. For the first time, the pale man's expression changed. So it's already here. Ethan's eyes narrowed sharply. An instant realization hit him. His gaze snapped back to the man. You brought it here. Not a question, a statement. Cold, accusing. The wind howled louder. The chimera roared again, closer, hungrier, and in that moment, the battlefield shifted once more, from calm to something far more dangerous.
If you enjoyed this original story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you want to see what happens next. There are many more stories waiting for you on my channel. Go check them out. Your support means everything, and it keeps me motivated to create more epic content like this. See you in the next one.